Hello and welcome to the Brutal Iron Gym podcast, where our goal is to cut through the BS and deliver the brutal truth about topics related to health and happiness. So today's topic is trainer education, and we're going to go through a workout comparison, and this would be workouts for the goal of fat loss. Got presented this type of idea of comparing workouts by a trainer who listens to the podcast, and they suggested, they just actually asked if I could review one of the workouts they had written for one of their clients. And when I was looking through it, I kind of brought up some good points on how they could make some modifications to possibly better use the time towards all of the goals that client had. So it was a really cool kind of conversation, and it sparked the idea to do that type of thing for a podcast. So if anybody ever has any ideas or feedback, we always would love to hear from you. So our email is brutalironGym@gmail.com. You can always email us any questions, whatever. We'll make a podcast about it, or we'll give you the answer in some way whatsoever. We appreciate people listening, and we want to make sure that if you're giving us your attention, we give you ours, and make sure you get what you need. So if you have any requests or anything that you would like discussed, or if you actually like the idea of what today's topic is by the end of it, just email us and let us know, okay? Also, if you like this kind of stuff, you can please share it. So the more people we share it with, obviously the more people are going to get good information and become kind of like healthier and happier on their fitness journey. So if you do like the podcast, please share it. So now I'll get into the good stuff. So I wanted to talk through a workout that I had. I've done consultations for other gyms. So I own my own gym, and I've owned it for 9 years. And along the way, I've picked up a lot of personal trainers as clients. So actually half of my clients right now are personal trainers. And in a roundabout way, in different ways, that has led to me consulting for the facility that they train at. So I've actually gone to facilities, kind of talked about their training program and how they can structure it with people, different pricing structures, how to market it, and it's kind of super duper fun. I love that kind of stuff. And one time when I was viewing, helping a personal training director kind of analyze what they could do better to bring in more people. One of the things was the trainers that they had were taking people through pretty bullshit workouts, and it was either they couldn't keep people retained once they had them under contract, because once the people did the workouts for whatever the contract was a 3 month, 6 month, 12-month contract. Once they got through the workouts, they fulfilled the contract. They never really wanted to come back because the workouts weren't that amazing. Or they would do a free workout with trying to get the person to sign up for the contract, and the free workout was crap, so they never really got people to sign up. So one of the workouts they took them through is what I'm going to explain is workout number 1. And workout number 2 is the comparison type of thing that I would make changes to and try to get more effective usage out of that time and the equipment that they had available at that facility. So some of the equipment might not be available at your facility. However, you can kind of take the concepts that we discussed and try to apply them in your own training. And if you are a trainer, which this is a trainer education podcast, so I'm assuming the trainers listen to this, then you can use these kind of ideas and theories to help your clients to that way better get people signed up for contracts, if you do contracts, or at least just get them to sign up for a second training session, or have better retention. So, or I guess you'd want everything. So workout number 1, the person came in, they talked to the trainer for maybe 5 minutes, they walked over to the treadmill, and the trainer put the person on the treadmill, and they walked at a slight incline. However, the person was holding onto the handles of the treadmill to lean back to be in the exact same type of angle perpendicular to the base of the treadmill as if they were walking flat. So that's automatically pretty damn stupid. So if you put them at an incline, make them walk at an incline. Make them stay upright. Don't allow your clients to hold onto the handles and lean back. It makes it easier, okay? So don't do that. So they did that for 15 minutes. Then the trainer took them over to kind of this general fitness kind of area where they had this jungle gym type setup thing, quote unquote functional training. And they had a kettlebell hang hold step ups. So they had the person step up onto this step that was about their knee height. It wasn't a bad height. It got the person to about parallel thigh position when they were at the top of it. So it was a pretty good step height. However, they were letting the person, they had a kettlebell at one hand, and they had it in the hand opposite of the foot that they were stepping up in. So if the person was stepping up on their left foot, they had them hold it in their right hand. The idea of a counter-loading position is that it helps activate the core because your body is basically trying to be twisted by the weight. However, they were letting their client hold on to a handle support right by the damn step. So the person was holding onto the weight in one hand, holding onto the handle in the other, and stepping up. So that negated all of the core work. Okay? And the weight wasn't really that hard. They were bullshitting and talking the whole time while they were doing it anyhow. So then, after the person did the step-ups, they had them do bodyweight squat jumps. So they would squat down, kind of jump in the air, land, kind of settle their feet, re-squat, jump up, land, settle their feet. So it wasn't really consistent jumps. There was kind of like little breaks in between each one. So I think for the kettlebell hang holds, they had them do 10 step-ups per leg. The jump squats was 10. And then the kettlebell hang hold, again, single leg stiff leg deadlifts. So they again have the person hold the kettlebell in the right hand while they were standing on their left foot and trying to do a single leg stiff leg deadlift where they touch the kettlebell to the ground. And this works your glutes, your hamstrings, kind of like posterior chain, backside of your body kind of thing. So it's a hinge movement. Then again, they had them hold on with a hand support. So the structure wasn't necessarily that bad. They had a knee bend activity, okay, the step-ups. Now, your hips do bend, but typically the weakness of a step-up is going to be the muscles related to the knee joint, not the hip joint. So they were doing something that involved and kind of focused on the knee joint, which is good. They had bodyweight squats, which is kind of like a general mobility, overall lower body kind of thing. And then they had them do a hinge movement with a single leg stiff leg deadlift, which works the muscles of the hips. So you could also argue that the squat jumps helped work like the joint integrity of the ankle, knee, and hips by having some kind of impact. So it helps kind of build stability and bracing ability within those joints. So the exercises they chose weren't that bad. However, they were negating the point of the counter loading by having the person use hand support. And they only did 4 total rounds. So they did 10 reps of everything, regardless of what the hell the person's goal was, whether it was endurance, fat loss, muscle building. It was 10 reps of everything, and the person easily could have been doing like 15 or 20 reps. And I'm not bullshitting. It was ridiculously easy weight. And they did 4 rounds, and only the last 2 kind of seemed like they challenged the person. The person was talking nonstop for the first 2 rounds. They had to stop and take a breath during the squats on the 3rd round, squat jumps. And then the 4th round, they had to take a breath and break in between the step-ups and the squats and between the squats and the single leg deadlifts. So they were kind of taking intermittent rest periods. There was no kind of like set schedule to it. It was just as soon as they could get that client to shut up, they got them to do another round. And it wasn't even like they were really trying to pressure them through it. They were just kind of letting them talk, and they were even participating in the bullshitting and talking. So it wasn't really trainer-driven as much as, here's some things that you can do when you feel like doing them. Hey, let's both talk about what we're going to do later tonight or tomorrow. No. Okay? Then they went over to an overhead press machine. They did 3 sets of 10 reps, again, just 10 reps, and 3 sets total, not even a warm-up, like they just did 3. I didn't even get to see what the weights were, but they looked, again, pretty easy. And they were talking between the sets. They did a set of 10, talked maybe 30, 40 seconds, did a set of 10, then talked 2 or 3 minutes because somebody walked by and they all said hello. Then they did a set of 10, then they talked for, maybe 45, 60 seconds, maybe a minute and a half, did another set of 10. Then they went to a machine pull down, same bullshit of 3 sets of 10 with talking in between. Then they had them do walking lunges, bodyweight walking lunges for 60 total steps. And they took whatever rest they needed, talked whatever they needed in between there. And that was the entire workout. Holy shit. Is that a horrible workout? Horrible. Okay, 15 minutes walking on the treadmill. 4 rounds of lower body stuff. None of it significantly weighted. And only maybe 2 rounds of it being challenging. Then he went to upper body, did bullshit 3 sets of 10, bullshit 3 sets of 10 of an overhead press and a pull down, and then bodyweight walking lunges for only 60 steps. Nothing was that heavy. What the hell did they accomplish during that workout? What? They moved themselves around. Good God, that is not exercise. Okay? Moving yourself around does take effort. But just because it takes effort doesn't mean it's going to make you improve and get better, and it doesn't mean it's even enough effort. So that workout actually took them about 35, 40 minutes, which was ridiculous. And it's just frustrating. So I talked with the personal training director, and we made some changes, and just had to fire up some of the staff. And rightfully so, the staff wasn't that motivated themselves. The whole culture kind of needed a little bit of an uplift and kind of empowerment for the trainers to give a shit and start kicking the clients' asses. So that was basically the example of the workout. That's what they took them through. 15 minutes of treadmill work, just walking on an incline where the person was leaning back. 4 rounds of lower body stuff where it wasn't actually that bad of exercises. It just wasn't heavy. Nothing was there to address strength. Nothing made the person stronger. Okay? It was just burn calories and move around. They did overhead press and pull downs. Again, nothing was really that heavy. And then walking lunges. Nothing heavy again. They did nothing to build the strength of the client. They did nothing to cause muscular damage, which can then result in new muscle or even shape change of current muscle. All they did was burn some calories, and that was it. They got slightly winded, so maybe they had some really ridiculously low-level, cardiovascular system stimulus. That's it. So that was garbage, absolute garbage. But on paper, that looks like an okay workout. That client, without knowing any better, probably thought they did an okay workout. They were certainly uncomfortable doing it, but it was a kind of a bullshit level of uncomfortable. They didn't actually push themselves. They didn't push their current body to test its limits, and therefore cause the current body to have to make adjustments and become a new body. All they did was mediocre bullshit. That's it. So, what we did with that workout, made some changes. So they had at the gym, they had Concept 2 rowers and Concept 2 ski ergs. Okay. So if you don't know what those are, a rower is a rower. It's like you're rowing a boat. You push with your legs, then you pull with your arms. You push with your legs, you pull with your arms. So it's kind of a good whole lower body and upper back and core kind of involvement exercise. And then the ski erg, it'd be like if you were skiing downhill and you kept jamming poles into the ground to push yourself to get faster. So if you think of that image of like a skier, well, the ski erg is just handles on rope, and it has resistance as you would pull down, mimicking that same position of a skier standing with legs bent, pushing themselves down the mountain. Okay? The ski erg, what we did with it was reverse flies. So instead of pushing down or pulling down like a skier, we had them stand upright. We had them open their shoulder blades and bring their hands together in front of their face. They had to pull on the cables to pull out to the sides of their body with their arms pretty straight, not locked out but slightly bent, till they formed a T. What this did was it stretched and contracted their upper back, notably their thoracic spine. So it involved shoulder blade movement. Very rarely during the day do many people move their damn shoulder blades. So they have horrible posture, they have horrible back awareness, and horrible back weakness. So by doing the rower and ski erg, we actually did them as supersets. So they did a minute of the rower into a minute of the ski erg reverse flies, a minute of the rower, a minute of the reverse flies, a minute of the rower, or a minute of the reverse flies. They did 3 rounds. We had them keep the rest to minimal. So the rest between the first round, so they did the rower, the ski erg, then they maybe took 15, 20 seconds, pumped the client up. They did another round. Now, by this time, they're probably out of shape, so they're probably dying. So they kind of gave them like 30, 40 seconds, talked them up, hyped them up, told them what they were doing it for, what the benefits were. They got them back in it, and then boom, they finished their 3rd round. So that was all done. You got a huge cardiovascular spike. You got blood flow through all the joints of the body. And you got kind of like just overall warm-up, adrenaline spike, endorphin spike. You got the person warmed up. Everything was ready to go. So that was done in total of teaching the movements 8 minutes. Whereas previously, the other style, they've been doing 15 minutes of walking on a treadmill like a jackass. And that didn't warm up their shoulders. That didn't warm up their hips. It barely warmed up their knees and ankles. So you don't really get to a big range of motion. You don't get to a high degree of knee bend or joint bend or ankle bend or anything. Like nothing bends when you walk. It's just you're standing pretty much freaking upright the whole damn time. So especially when they were leaning back on the thing, on the treadmill. So they swapped 15 minutes of bullshit for 8 minutes of actually somewhat productive stuff. Okay? So not somewhat, but actual productive stuff. So then they went to a superset, and a superset means you do one exercise, then the other exercise, then you take a break. So I go exercise A right into exercise B, and then I would take a break. Then I go back to exercise A, back to exercise B, take a break. So you do that for rounds. Exercise A, then B, break. A, then B, break. A, then B, break. That kind of stuff. So we went to leg press with their feet in the strongest position they could possibly do, and we did sets of 8 to 10. If the person could do 8, barely, that was considered pretty heavy. If the person could do 10 reps with that same weight, we then would add weight. And we expanded this range to be 8 to 12, based on different clients' abilities and different trainers' understandings of the range and how to properly use the range. So if they would pick a weight that their client could do 12, but looked like they could do a 13th or 14th, then they would know to add weight. If the client couldn't even do 8, they put too much damn weight on. So we actually had them warm up with sets of 8 so they could see when they would start to struggle. So once they got to kind of a hard set of 8, they would maybe put a smidge more weight on until the person would try as many as they could. Maybe they'd get 10 or 11, and that kept them within the range. So what we found was when you do leg press, feet in the strongest position, and you do sets of 8 to 12, that gives you the time under tension range related to muscular damage and strength. And it gives you the difficulty within that time under tension range to reach muscular failure. So when the person was previously doing kettlebell hang hold step ups, the bodyweight squat jumps, and the hang hold stiff leg deadlifts, yeah, they were doing them in the right time frame, but there was no damn freaking challenge. The person could have done 1,000,000 more reps. So they may have been doing them in the right time frame, but there was no actual challengeable stimulus to it. So we changed that to be still the right time frames, but actually kicking the freaking client's butt and make them actually work to where they maybe couldn't do any more reps, so they had to work to good form failure. We paired that with kettlebell hang hold single leg stiff leg deadlift into a reverse lunge. If you need a video of any of this, just search the names I'm giving you on YouTube or shoot us an email at brutalirongym@gmail.com and I'll send you the write-up of this workout. Okay? So the kettlebell hang hold single leg stiff leg deadlift into reverse lunge. And they didn't have hand support, so this actually worked the core. They would do a single leg stiff leg deadlift. Once they brought their torso back up into the starting position, they would then go into reverse lunge. Then they'd go right into a stiff leg deadlift, then right back into a reverse lunge. So they would alternate back and forth between those two movements. The reason why is the single leg stiff leg deadlift is a hinge, a hip hinge, works the muscles of the hip. The reverse lunge is a knee bend dominant movement, so it works the muscles of the knee. So we got the heavy leg press in there that works all the joints, all the muscles of the lower body. Then we had hang hold single leg stiff leg deadlifts and reverse lunges to work each joint individually. It also worked each leg individually to balance out any kind of imbalances they have in strength or movement issues. And it also worked on balance itself. And it worked on flexibility because it had to force them to move through a larger range of motion than what they would typically use in regular life. So all of that was accomplished. We did 2 to 3 warm-up sets. Then they had to do 3 heavy sets while tracking progression. So like we said, they would have 8 to 12 reps. If they could do 12, you'd add weight the next set or next workout. If they could only do 8, you'd let them keep that weight. Maybe next time they could do 9, maybe next time they could do 10. But you'd keep them within that range, you would adjust the weight accordingly. Then we had them time their rests. So for a superset like that, they got 1 minute minimum and 2 minute maximum. So they had 1 to 2 minutes of rest. So at the 2 minute mark, they had to tell their client to shut the hell up and get moving. They had to make their client at least wait 1 minute, so that way they had strength restoration, so they weren't just going 1,000,000 miles an hour, feeling like they were failing at everything because they weren't actually giving their muscles time to breathe, okay, time to recover. So then we went to a superset of dumbbell standing overhead press into dumbbell dual bent over rows. Again, both of these work the core because you have to support the dumbbells in the positions. There's not machines, self-guiding things. So they had to activate a lot more muscles in their stabilization of the joints involved, plus also their overall body, which involves the core, muscles of the lower back and abs. The standing overhead press worked their shoulders and triceps, and that's a very common kind of weakness in most people. And that's a movement that's more applicable to regular life usage than something such like as a bench press. So we did dumbbell dual bent over rows, and that's again another movement that's very applicable to everyday movements. You have to bend over, have your lower back learn how to support and brace you, while also doing bent over rows. So the rows allows you to move your shoulder blades, work your back muscles, your biceps, everything. So every other workout, they would substitute an overhead press for a chest press, a horizontal press. And every other workout, they would substitute the rows for a pull-up or pull-down type movement. So horizontal and vertical switches is what we were looking for from workout to workout. So these structures, the workout 2 is significantly, ridiculously better because it has a whole bunch of more benefit, okay? So you get a higher degree of cardiovascular stress, therefore you get a higher degree of cardiovascular adaptations, and that increases cardiovascular health, okay? And everything related to it, which is blood pressure, resting heart rate, yada, yada, yada. Then, what it also did was it focused on strength by doing heavy stuff. It made the person get stronger. In podcast 175, titled The Importance of Strength, we talk about the benefits of that and how that leads into benefits of all things. So the stronger you are, the more blood, like more crap of your food you use up, okay, in your bloodstream by having to recover and deal with the movement of heavy stuff, okay? Also, the stronger you are, the more protected your joints are. So you get healthier in that sense. You also have better balance. So you have overall just better improvement of everything in life by being stronger. Then, in podcast 181, we talk about the benefits of using muscle damage for fat loss. So workout number 2 was heavy enough to cause muscle damage. That's going to require the body to devote calories to repairing that damage. The devotion of calories means that you're going to have less left over to be stored as fat. Therefore, it works as fat loss. Okay? Then, with podcast number 30, we talk about the use of muscle cardio. How do you use weight training to have a cardiovascular effect? And then in podcast 497, we actually give some examples of how to do that, how to create cardio within weight training. So podcast 30, 175, 181, and 497 are just a very select few that'll tell you why workout number 2 is better than workout number 1. So hopefully this kind of gave you some food for thought, some things to kind of think through. And this will be an ongoing thing. If people find it interesting, I'll try to analyze different workouts. So if you have a workout you want me to analyze, good or bad, send it to us, and I'll use it for a podcast. So workout number 1, not that bad of exercise selections, but nothing was weighted to an actual challenge, and nothing was kept to good rest periods that forced the person to challenge their current self enough that they would get a change. So remember, as trainers, you have to do something that day that makes that client's body that they came with feel inadequate in some way. It has to be inadequately strong, inadequately muscle-sized, inadequately enduranced. Whatever stimulus you place on it that it cannot meet, it'll then go home, make adaptations to then meet that stimulus. So if you want them to get stronger, make them fail at trying to lift heavy things safely. If you want them to get bigger muscles or have tighter muscles or just get leaner in general, beat the shit out of their muscles. Create some muscle damage. Okay? And if you want them to get better endurance, then make them do some high rep stuff. Make them get out of breath. It doesn't mean they have to do all high rep movements. Like we said in podcast 30 and 497, you can just do multiple low rep movements in a circuit, and that creates that same effect. Okay? So hopefully this was helpful. If you have any questions, email me at brutalironGym@gmail.com. If you like it, let me know. If you hate it, let me know. Okay? So I hope this was helpful in some way, and thank you for listening. If you like the podcast, please share it with family and friends. The more people we help, the happier the world will be. Also, if you like this information, you can find more from us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, Brutal Iron Gym. And if you have any questions, feedback, or suggestions, we'd love to hear from you. The podcast is for you, so we want to know what you want to learn about. You can tell us at our email at brutalironGym@gmail.com. Okay? As always, I hope this was helpful, and thank you for listening. And thank you for watching.